spécial.
FM listeners and viewers, welcome to this special edition on Ifriqiya FM with a special guest. I am Samar Hamadi, and today is not just another interview, it's a meeting between two voices from two sides of Africa. My guest comes from Liberia, but she carries the continent in her notebook and in her camera lens. She is a journalist, a traveler, and above all, a story collector. Not just a storyteller. She is the founder of Africa Travel and Life magazine, a publication that does not travel to consume Africa, but to listen to Africa. She is currently here in Algeria, exploring the breathtaking region of Janet, not to take pictures of dunes like a postcard tourist, but to meet the people who live behind the postcard. Because traveling is not about just landscapes, it's about encounters. Storytelling is not about places, it's about voices. And Africa is not just geography, it is memory, pride, and identity. Today we will talk about her magazine, about the responsibility of telling our own stories, about the challenges of building African media platforms, and about how we, as Africans, are no longer waiting for permission to speak about ourselves. Hesta Baker, welcome to Ifriqiya FM. It is an honor to have you with us.
Thank you, Samar, for having me, and it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure to be here.
Hesta, welcome again to Algeria, and welcome to Ifriqiya FM. You've been traveling across Algeria recently. It's your first visit, and most recently in the breathtaking region of Janet. You've been talking a lot of it. You've been mesmerized by the beauty of Janet. I imagine it must feel surreal, the landscapes, the silence of the desert, the warmth of the people. Tell me honestly, what was your first or very first emotion when you arrived? Was it fascination, peace, because it's calm, it's dunes, it's scents, or maybe even a bit of cultural shock?
For me, arriving in Janet was emotional because of the journey to get to Janet.
Yeah.
You know, I had been studying just the regions of Algeria, Tamanrasset, Janet, and I had seen it in photos. And arriving into Janet
It's
at
something
night.
else. Yeah.
Yes. And as we were driving from the airport to the hotel at night, I saw the rock formations. And I just said, oh God, you know, this is at night.
So it's a shock.
It's
as
a
I said.
shock. And it was just fascinating.
So the answer is you've been fascinated and shocked at the same time.
Fascination, shocked, emotions to get there. It's just so much going on. It was amazing.
It's something you've never seen before
Never.
anywhere else.
Never.
You know, many travel magazines around the world talk about Africa, and I've already introduced your magazine. Yours, Africa and Africa Travel and Life, it talks from Africa. It doesn't just display destinations, it gives them a voice. Could you tell us more about what makes your magazine different from the usual glossy travel publications? What is the soul behind it?
The soul of the magazine is Africans telling Africa's story.
Yeah.
You know, as we were talking about earlier, I said, as I was saying earlier, I said, we have a saying in Liberia, if house don't sell you, street won't buy you.
Yeah.
And I believe that, you know, there are many beautiful magazines in the world that tell stories about the global travel, showcase destinations around the world. Africa Travel and Life has only one focus, is Africa. And it's
Africa from Africans.
it's about us telling our story. And so the difference is that we tell it as, you know, from the heart, from the soul. We speak from our house.
What do you think when it comes from others telling our stories? Do you think that it's fake? It's not well done?
Well, but I think no one can tell your story quite the way you can.
Yeah.
It's like a biographer. You know, the autobiography will be different than someone else telling the story.
Of course.
So it's a different perspective. And I believe that Africa's story has been told in a very, very negative way, which is the inspiration behind the magazine, because I spent many years living in the US, and I can be very honest and say that I never saw positive images of Africa. And for 26 years, I lived there. And even being born in Liberia and then moving to America, as you stay in America after a while, you begin to get afraid of the continent, because the images of the continent are frightening. You know, my son, he was 7 years old, and he said to me, "Mom," watching cartoons, he said, "Why is Africa so dark?"
Underestimated.
Yeah,
The
7
continent.
years old.
And we're seeing lately some youth or some young people doing a lot of interviews to show the real images of Africa, the images we have, and the real we have in
Yes.
our heads, and the real images. What do you think about these perspectives
Well,
or initiatives?
You mean by a lot of the bloggers? and-
Showing the real Africa.
I love it.
The real beauty.
I love it, because we all have to tell the story. You know, thank goodness for the social media and the digital platforms. So everything is in real time. So it's no longer about somebody else saying it. It's about taking your video and seeing that young person dancing. It's about going and seeing the food people eating, and just seeing the real Africa.
Yeah.
You know, that no, Africa is not
The real
just poverty.
values.
It's not just war. We're not just diseases. We are real
Yeah.
people living fabulous lives, you know, with amazing cultures
And
like
amazing
Algeria.
traditions.
Yes.
Amazing food.
Yes. It's
Healthy
amazing.
food.
Yes.
And we had the occasion to speak a little bit while our visit in Algeria. And what I love about your work is that you don't just show places, you show people.
Yes.
And when I say show people, some travel journalists would photograph a dune. You would rather sit with the man who has lived beside that dune all his life. Why is the human approach to or so essential to you? Is that your personal travel philosophy? I
believe
could have guessed that this is your philosophy.
the idea of Africa Travel in Life is to showcase the people and the destination. So if you look at the cover of every magazine, it's not just a structure. Every cover has a person, because we want to show the human side of Africa. And even when we go into the destination, we do not bring in our photographers. We do not bring in our models. You know, we do not bring in our makeup artist. Whatever is there is what we work with, because we want to show how the destination tells its own story. If, for example, in Algiers, in Jeannette, the photographer is Jaber, who works with Ifriqiya Media.
Yeah.
And Jaber,
He's from Tamanrasset Station.
yes.
Yeah.
So Jaber is going to he's going to film and shoot based on what he knows. It's his knowledge that we're looking at. It's his art. It's how he see it. It's through his eyes. It's the real eyes. Because that's how autobiographies are the best. So it's like telling the story of the Tuareg people from someone who lives it, eats it, breathes it, dreams it, and, you know, lives there. The people that we photograph, we're not going to bring in a supermodel from, you know, somewhere else.
I even think that telling a story from someone who didn't live in a country or in a place should be forbidden.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We often hear Africa described by others as we're starting our emission through films, documentaries, new reports. But as Africans, we sometimes look at those portrayals and feel disconnected. Like, that's not my Africa. This is not where I live. Do you feel that part of your mission is to reclaim that narrative? As you said, even your son is scared of the continent. To say enough, let us speak of or for ourselves.
We have to. We absolutely have to. The narratives are not real. They're narratives from 2,000 years ago. You know, there is a fantasy about painting a picture of Africa that we got stuck somewhere in time. We're very dynamic people. There are 54 countries. In every country,
Very ambitious people.
yes, tons of cultures. So yes, telling our story, telling our story is the only way to go. What you all do at Ifriqiya is telling the story from the Hausa, from the different groups that you have as a Pan-African media. So it's the same concept. We all must become familiar with Africa as Africans. Yes, we want the world to come because tourism is critical. We want
It's the purpose.
Yes, we want for, just like the Chinese would want for you to go and see the Great Wall of China. We want for you to come and see the Great Walls in Jeannette.
Of course.
And
The great sands of Janet.
Yeah.
I'm really encouraging the purpose of your magazine as an African. There is an African proverb that says you speak better about your own house than anyone else. I'm curious, do you think part of Africa's future depends on us telling our own story, not to convince the world, but simply to tell the truth as we live it?
It's critical for Africa because Africans must travel Africa. There are 1.4 billion people on the African continent. Africa today receives 2 or 3% of global tourism earnings. Pre-COVID, the earnings for tourism was $2.2 trillion. And Africa only received around 3%. Now, why is that? A part of that is because Africans do not travel Africa. The average African rather visit or take vacation in Europe or America, China, somewhere else. But when you say go to an African country, let's say go to Algeria, there are many fears, there are many apprehensions, there are many connotations in the mind.
Yeah.
And how did those get there? It's because we are not telling our stories. We're not telling the African stories to the Africans. Africans do not see African destinations as places to explore, enjoy, savor, and what have you. We do not understand that we have the best of the world. It's here. Everything, Algeria, I keep saying, is a continent of its own. Everything you see here it's marvelous, magnificent, or in the French word, magnifique.
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 And speaking about talking about a country while footprint in it, you are here in Algeria. Let's remind our viewers and listeners that you are here in Algeria, and your purpose is to report some beauties about Janet, because we can tell everything. What do you think about Janet?
Oh, Jeannette. Jeannette is.
We touched a point. Now.
Jeannette is Mars, is Pluto. It's it's a different planet, and that's when daylight came and we finally began driving.
Yeah.
I thought we were driving somewhere in the Milky Way.
In Mars, in another planet.
Else. It's different, and it's grand. It's grandeur. It's beyond words. And again, I kept thinking, why are we not here?
But I'm curious, what are you going to report about Janet?
What we're going to do is show through the photos. I believe that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So the pictures should speak. And what we photographed the people first. Because it's all from the people's perspective. So we photographed the artisans at work. We photographed the men, the women. We photographed the tea ceremony. We photographed.
What do you think about the tea ceremony?
Oh, it was so.
It's something very special about Janet.
Yes.
It's something very special about the desert, about the Sahara and Algeria.
Yes.
And they make very beautiful and tasty tea.
Oh yes. And in the middle of, so there is nothing like being in this
the
magical.
Gathering, and it's the gathering that's the most special in there.
Yes.
You stayed with them?
Oh yes, of course. How not? Look, this is an immersive experience.
You can't miss this part, of course.
It's immersive. You can't help it.
What about the tea?
The tea was fantabulous, fantaglorious, amazing.
So let's do a transition right now. Hesta, of course, building a media platform in Africa is not a straight road. So you started somewhere else, maybe. It's more like an obstacle course, funding logistics, bureaucracy sometimes, like everywhere in the world. Let's remind people that's something that exists everywhere in the world, not just in Africa. Even stereotypes. What has been the biggest challenges you've faced while building Africa Travel and Life magazine, and how did you push through? How did you persevere?
It's not did, it's how am I. It's present. It's present tense.
I love your
because it's a daily journey. It's a daily grind. It's difficult. And the difficulty comes from within Africa itself. Because, again, it takes the leaders of the destinations to understand that we're up against a mountainous task. That it's not easy to tell the African story simply because we're unwriting a lot of negative narratives. So they must join. And so the challenge that I have faced, it's trying to break through to the tourist bureaus, the ministers of tourism, to join me on this mission. You know, I think we have gotten too brainwashed, you know, by the international media. You know, if I'm BBC, if I'm CNN, I will jump and say, oh, yes. But even within my own country, you know, I've found pushbacks, and it's very disheartening. But what I do, I have my own personal philosophies for life. And my philosophy is, of course, never to walk anybody else's line or never to dance by anybody else's music. I do my own. So every morning at 4 a.m., I'm up. And when I wake up at 4, it's a new day. And I look ahead with all of the challenges, but I look at the positives and the outcomes that must be had. And so I place my focus there and say, okay, this task today, if there is a roadblock, this roadblock must be removed today. You know, and so I don't stop until I'm pushed past the roadblocks, because I realize that if we don't do this, if there is no one else doing it, I look around and I'm thinking sometimes, I say, wow, you mean in all these years there has never been a consumer travel lifestyle magazine for Africa? In 2025, in the 21st century, it's unreal, you know. And with all of the magazines on the news, the bookshelves, I mean the magazine racks, the magazine stands, nothing. You do have another magazine that's on travel, but it's primarily about the wilds of Africa and what have you. But what we're doing is different. The idea is to showcase the beauty, the culture, the lifestyle, the getaways, the escapes, the spas, the both the luxury and the natural and all of that.
And Hesta, you mentioned something very important. This says we're aiming to be heard from responsibles and high-placed people. Did you get any? Because you said you've been pushed or you have been pushed back several times. Did you get any maybe proposals, interactions from any high-placed person, as you say, the ministers and Minister of Tourism, for example?
Well, you know, I'd love to talk about a lady in Sierra Leone.
Yeah, of course.
She's a mayor. Her name is Mayor Yvonne Akisoya. She was, to me, a major inspiration, because I remember going into Sierra Leone to to do the premiere issue. And I kept thinking, okay, I need to go through the Ministry of Tourism. I need to go through the Tourist Board. But I could not seem to break through. But then Yvonne, the minute we talked, she got it. And she said, look, Freetown is amazing. Come, let's make this happen. And she did not just stop there. She had her entire team get behind us. And so that's inspirational. And then you talk to certain people, you know. I have a friend from Gabon, for example, Paul Gonjou. And Paul is saying, come, let's do Gabon. You know, and just for me, it's been as you find someone who's really positive, then you stay that line and you walk the line with them.
It's inspiring.
It's inspiring. You look for inspiring people. But it's so sad to say that we have a lot of work to do. even in terms of traveling to African destinations. It's complicated.
What do you think is there still to do?
First of all, we need to come together as a continent and realize that we have to take ownership of how we tell the story about Africa. We first need to realize that tourism is important. You know, it's an important economic booster. We need to understand that it can transform societies.
Yeah.
You know, we first have to...
Poets, politics, economy,
Yes.
everything. It can transform everything.
Yes, and that is not just about the beaches and the mountains, but it's
Yeah.
about the artisan, the person who is the painter. It's about the person who designs fashion. It's about the person who is making sculptures, or
Yeah.
it's about the destination and the people in the destination. And we need to realize that Africa must take ownership of this and not just talk tourism, but do tourism. Break down the barriers. Just to travel across the continent, to get to Algeria was quite a feat, you know, because of the airlines and what have you. And some of it is not even about the airlines, but the politics, you know. And so we have to realize that tourism is such a beautiful thing. It's void of politics. It's void of anything except experiences. You know, we want to be able to have beautiful experiences. And that's what we're about. You know, we want to tell the story, we want to have fun, see the musicians, you know, the dancers and those
And
things.
speaking about music, you mentioned that you visited a lot of African countries. I'm curious about your travel rituals. When you land in a new African countries for the first time, what is the first thing you look for? Is
people.
it okay, the people.
The people.
And I'll have another suggestions. We'll see if
Okay.
you... is it the food? Because we know African Express love throw food. For me, it's food, also food. Is it the music, the rhythm, or the streets, of the streets? Or do you first search for a story in people's eyes?
I look at the people.
Okay.
Because from the airport, you know, you can feel the vibe, you know. And I'll say, for example, in Algeria landing, even the immigration, they were smiling with their eyes, you know. The first guy came up to me, bonjour, hello. He said,
How did you manage with the languages?
Many people in Algeria speak English.
Of course.
Some form of English.
Of course.
You know. And so from even the welcome at the airport, I was comfortable. And so the people made me feel very much at home. And then once you feel at home, then you can breathe and begin to take it all in.
So tell us more about your magazine for our listeners and viewers.
So Africa Travel and Life magazine is a print magazine as well as a digital platform. So it's both digital and print. The magazine is really more of a coffee table style magazine. And why are we still in print is because that I believe in the power of print. I think it's like taking a photo. Photos to me, if you put a painting on a wall, is timeless. So I want us to keep it, you know, so it's more of a print magazine, but it covers, in every issue we go across the continent. So every issue we have north, south, east, west, and central stories. And then, of course, you have all of your other platforms. We have the website, africatravelandlife.com. And then we have all of the social media platforms. But the magazine is distributed globally. So no matter where you are in the world, you can subscribe to it and it will be delivered directly to your home. And yeah.
It's especially a magazine that speaks to hearts, that speaks to people, or to people's hearts. And I'm curious about something else. Speaking of languages, Algeria is multilingual, just like Liberia. Have you picked up any Arabic or Tamazight words during your stay? And could you teach us a fun expression from Liberian English so I can officially start speaking Hesta style?
Unfortunately, no. The Tamashak people, the Tuareg people, I didn't learn the language. Thank goodness, many of them also allowed me to.
It was a very short stay.
It was a short stay,
Yeah.
yes. But I did learn a lot about the Tuareg people, and I think the culture is so beautiful. In Liberia, Liberia is an English-speaking country. A little bit about Liberia. Liberia is Africa's oldest independent republic, you know, established in 1847. We got our independence in 1847. But Liberia was established, as the name Liberia says. Liberia comes from the word liber, Latin for free. So it means
Even in
land.
French, we say libre.
Exactement,
Free.
exactly, yes.
Or we can say freedom, liberté.
Because it was started by freed blacks from the U.S. So there were 88 freed blacks that boarded a ship in 1822 out of the U.S. As part of what they call the American Colonization Society.
Yeah.
And so the ACS, whether we don't know, there are many schools of thought on what they were thinking when they came up with this concept. Some have been maybe negative, some have been positive, but the overall end result was 88 people boarded a ship in 1822 out of the harbor of New York and sailed into Africa for the first time. And these were they were freed blacks. And they landed in Liberia. And from 1822 to 1847, many more ships came. And so many more freed blacks came. And in 1847, they established a republic and called it Liberia, meaning land of the free. The capital is Monrovia, named after the fifth president of the U.S., who was President James Monroe, because he was in power at the time of the establishment of Liberia. Liberia has, from 1847, became also a Pan-African country, because you had a lot of people from like the West Indies, the British West Indies, from the Caribbean, that also came into Liberia. In the mid-1800s, you also had repatriated slaves that were being taken into slavery. The Liberians began jumping on the high seas with the British and capturing slave ships, and they would free those slaves that they were taking. So you have Liberia. People came from Nigeria, Ghana. They all came into Liberia in the 1800s. So Liberia is a melting pot of freed blacks from the U.S., the Caribbean, and then also freed slaves from around Africa.
Very rich,
It's very
country.
rich. But then you also have the natives. So you have tribes like the Bassa. So in Bassa we say mwen, which is hello.
Okay.
Mwen.
C'est where?
Mwen. Mwen. Mwen.
Okay.
Mwen. Which is hello. Then we say
Next
I want
time I'm going to start like that.
Mwen.
Okay.
Exactement.
Exactement. So we still have only 2 minutes to end up this broadcast. Now let's address a serious diplomatic matter. Jollof rice.
Yeah.
Liberians say they make the best one. Nigerians will disagree. Ghanaians will fight. So today, officially live on Ifriqiya FM, who is the Jollof
Oh
one?
my goodness. So now I have to go into these countries to do stories? Are you trying to get me banned?
Yeah.
Liberia, of course. Hey, there's no question.
I could have guessed. I'm thinking, what if one day Africa Travel and Life and Ifriqiya FM joined forces for a traveling audio documentary across the continent? Would you be open to combining your lens with our microphones?
1,000%. I can imagine us going into some of these places, and as we're shooting, we're telling the story. Yes, we must do that.
So we're starting today.
This is the
should
beginning.
know.
Yes, I'm excited. This is today.
Final question, and the difficult one. If you could choose only one African destination to live in for one full year, only one, which one would it be?
Jeanette!
And why?
Jeanette, I'm sorry. Peace.
You are very welcomed. We want you to stay here. Don't go back.
I'll be here. I'll be in Jeanette.
Thank you, Hesta Baker. Thank you so
Samar.
much for this wonderful time we spent with you, for proving that Africa is not just a continent, it's a heartbeat. As long as storytellers like you exist, Africa will never be reduced to cliche, because we are no longer waiting for people to speak about us. We are speaking for ourselves. As African, we are speaking for ourselves, like we are doing now in this broadcast with Hesta Baker. This was a special edition on Ifriqiya FM. I am Samar Hamadi, and I will always choose to tell Africa from within Africa.